James Hoffmann is one of the world's foremost coffee experts, and when I chatted with him on my podcast Deep Dive, he was appalled as to why I was still drinking instant coffee.
Don't do that, that's really bad.
And so he went away, got some equipment together, and this video is all about the most productive way to brew an incredible cup of coffee every morning. Alrighty, here we are, many months later after our initial brief, and you have a box.
I've got a box.
A box with fancy stuff in it.
A big box of stuff. All right, I'll open it up and I'll show you what I've got. You've got some Nescafe, the fanciest Nescafe I've ever seen. I didn't even know they did fancy Nescafe.
I didn't know either, but I offered you some of this when you came in, and you very kindly, very politely refused. We ended up unboxing the Ode Fellow coffee grinder. Whoa!
So,
my God, look at that.
This is your grinder. Super easy to use. You've got a big dial at the front here.
Nice.
Right, and you just adjust by twisting. The smaller the number, the smaller the piece.
Yep.
And then when you want to go, coffee in the top.
Yep.
Push the on button. It grinds into this thing, which is sort of held in place by magnets. Which seems to delight people.
That's delightful. It's a magnet.
And that's it. So it's the Fellow Ode. It's a good little grinder, and I think very good when you sort of change out the burrs for it.
The Clever Coffee Dripper.
Part 2 is the exact sort of opposite of this, which is what's called a Clever Dripper.
You sent me one of those.
I sent you a Clever.
Ages ago.
Did you use it much?
I used it all the time during lockdown.
Well, we're going to keep using it.
Perfect. It was really good.
That's good.
The Asaya USB-C rechargeable scales. My God.
The world, I mean, it's, you know.
My God.
Everything has to be USB-C rechargeable.
It really does. A misting bottle and a fancy water filter.
Because London's water makes bland tasting kind of coffee.
Okay.
Like kind of muddy and kind of tasting. Right. And you can't really get much complexity out of it.
Yeah.
It's not fun tasting.
Fantastic.
Cool.
I guess cue the B-roll montage. Next up, James took me through a taste testing process to find the exact type of coffee that I like, as there's a bunch of different factors that go into creating the perfect cup of coffee. Who knew?
So when we're doing a comparative tasting, the easiest thing to do is pick an attribute.
Yeah.
And it can be a very simple attribute like bitterness, it can be an attribute like acidity, and then just compare A to B, B to C. Just one at a time. Is it lower? Is it higher? Do I like it when it gets a little bit higher, or do I like it when it gets a little bit lower? So what we're going to do is you can use anything. It can be a small cup, it can be a little glass like this. When it's time to taste, spoonful of liquid in, and then feel free to slurp.
I see.
Now the first thing your brain's going to be like, what is this? Don't worry about anything, just pick an attribute, take bitterness, and say is 1 more bitter or less bitter than 2. So the interesting thing about coffee, or anything really, is that the hotter it is, the harder it is to taste.
Okay.
So a single pass of these is like an interesting introduction, but as they begin to cool down a little bit, they'll get easier and easier to taste. So what I want you to do is just taste through a few times, and then tell me which one you kind of enjoy more than the others.
I mean, I know what number 3 is.
It's like musty burnt wood to me. Like it's got like a slightly fungal quality to it that I find unsettling.
So the ones that I can see myself drinking are number 1 and number 5.
Mm-hmm. Initially, they're quite different in terms of their flavor, but they have some common attributes, which I think is interesting.
I feel like the repeated tasting is doing weird things to my tongue.
Yeah, it's a lot. Like it's even 5 is quite a lot to start with for the first time doing a comparative tasting.
Not a huge fan of number 4. I think it's slightly weird on the sweet front.
It has a bit of a fermented fruit thing.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've gone down the kombucha rabbit hole yet in your life.
Yes, I've drank once or twice.
Right, so that it has a kind of fermented fruit quality, a kind of wild fruit, a little bit kind of strange and for some people quite unsettling, right? Because fermented fruit, it can be a gamble in the natural world.
Yeah.
Some people desperately love those flavors.
Yeah.
They love them because they're unusual. It doesn't taste like coffee, right? Like it tastes weird and wonderful and strange.
Yeah.
And other people are like, I don't think that's right. That's not right.
It's not kosher.
How's number 5 to you?
I like number 5. It feels like not overly bitter.
Yep.
And it feels like pretty vanilla. Pretty basic. It's what I would expect. I think 1 and 5 is like if I got that black filter coffee at a coffee shop and I drank it, I'd be like, oh, This doesn't need sugar. I like this.
Number 5 is interesting. It's coffee from India. And I brought it because I think you mentioned you like the coffee from Dashum and stuff. And so I suspect they probably serve some Indian coffees there. That's that. It's low acidity coffee, right? Like that is sort of the opposite of this, right? This is soft, sweet.
Yeah. It's kind of nice.
Kind of rich, a little heavier, so it's got a little bit of woodiness at the bottom of it. Like it's quite, you know what I mean? Like it's a bit heavier overall. And then this one here is just designed to be drunk as filter coffee. It's like nice, friendly filter coffee. Like that's what it is. That's what it's built to do. And you were like, yeah, that's the one that would be nice. It's kind of like filter coffee.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, that's what it's for. So I feel like I've got a pretty good idea of what your taste preference is.
Perfect.
Sold.
After we worked out what a perfect cup of coffee tastes like for me, James took me through his brewing technique, which includes having the correct electric coffee grinder instead of brewing pre-ground coffee, and water filtration.
So you pick some coffee, we know roughly what you like style-wise, and so we'll run you through how we would make a clever dripper in the morning as quickly as possible, because we do it in a slightly weird way. Now having seen your coffee cups, you look like you're going to make between, say, 250 and 300 mils of coffee in the morning.
Yes.
I would recommend 60 grams per litre of water.
Okay.
The maths would then say you're going to brew, say, 15 to 18 grams of coffee.
Okay.
Right, that's that. So super easy. We'll do that. Now on your grinder, this goes from sort of 1 to 10 or 11, I think. Because of course it goes to 11. And smaller pieces, the more fine it will be. And the finer you grind coffee, the more surface area you're going to have and the more flavor you're going to extract. And so in theory, you'd be like, well, take me to 1, give me everything.
That's what I was thinking, but...
The problem is that then it's so fine that it's quite hard to separate the grounds from the liquid, right? Like it's a very fine, silty sludge. So what you're looking for is fine enough that you get lots of flavor out of it, but you can still functionally brew it and it still tastes nice and it doesn't ruin your day waiting for it to drip out or drain or that kind of stuff. On this grinder, we've kind of set it up slightly differently for just you, but here this is relatively fine. It's going to feel a little bit coarser than caster sugar, but it'll be relatively fine, and that works pretty well.
Cool.
So, 18 grams. Now, in terms of obsessing,
18.4.
Really, if you're within half a gram, you have plenty of accuracy. Don't freak out about it. There's no point like unpicking and obsessing over that stuff.
We're at 18.3 right now.
That's acceptable.
Okay.
That's acceptable average. Now, you give it a quick misting.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I mostly got you then, but
that's okay.
It's enough. And that's all you need. Like that's just going to prevent any static from building up.
Okay.
Throw it in the grinder.
That goes in there.
That's it. Okay. Lovely. And then push go.
All right, here we go. We are using the grinder. Nice.
Now it'll shut itself off and it'll beep. I would go for the little thumb action. That's the sort of that's the kind of the pro thwack.
Got it.
And there's your grounds.
Oh.
Now, what I would tend to do is...
Oh, yes.
Smells good? While that's grinding, give this paper a quick rinse. Or enjoy the smell, come back. So essentially, you don't have to do this step if you find yourself skipping it or not bothering with us, okay? But often with papers, people like to just give them a quick rinse with hot water just from the tap is fine. Just to rinse out any potential kind of papery flavor that they might have.
Yep. I used to use this, I used to do this back in the day. Yeah.
What stopped you using it there?
I moved to London and I left the coffee apparatus in Cambridge.
So throw this on your scale.
Yep.
Zero it out. Boil your kettle. So what we're going to do, this is going to be the weird bit, so we're going to put the water in first.
That's weird. Okay.
And then we're going to put coffee in.
Yeah.
We're going to stir it.
Yeah.
Leave it steep for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we're nearly done.
Okay.
So 300
mils.
Yeah, you've got a bit of leeway as well. Don't freak out if it's not exactly 300.
So boiling water in first. How strange.
Yeah.
How absolutely bizarre.
You'd think, but it's actually great.
Okay.
So, and then coffee in.
Wow.
Give it a stir with a spoon and start your timer. Just want to make sure all the grounds are just like wet, basically.
Okay.
And here, this is the good bit. So when you brew coffee this way, it's called an infusion or an immersion brew. It's pretty hard to get it wrong. Basically, this is why they're so good. French presses are kind of the same for this. If I left this 2 minutes before continuing, fine. If I get distracted and leave it 3, fine. If I leave 10 minutes even, it'll be a bit cooler than you want it to. fine. Like it'll still taste okay, you won't ruin it that way.
Right.
Whereas things like pour overs can be a bit fussier in terms of timings and getting it right and wrong and kind of ruining the cup. So in the morning for you, this stuff you could be doing, this breakfast you could be eating, there's whatever journaling to happen, you've got a lot of things to get through in the morning routine. So this is it might take 4 minutes in total, but you're active for like 30 seconds here, you're not active again for a couple of minutes. Quick stir, and then you're going to put it on top of something. Now you can brew this straight on top of the cup. So when you put this onto something, a little stopper goes up, lifts a little valve, liquid drains out at the bottom. Very easy. We did get you a carafe in case you want to make coffee for 2.
Yep.
You get about 500 mils in this before it starts to get a little bit scary.
Okay.
And then you can obviously then split that into 2 cups and make a coffee for someone.
Excellent.
That's kind of that.
Perfect. Yeah.
So after about 2 minutes, you're fine. What you want to do before you can do 2 things here. You can either give it a stir with a spoon if that's handy, or I just give it a little swirl sometimes.
Oh.
Sorry, I've not made a mess because nothing bad's going to happen. And then this mug or carafe, whatever you want to do, we can put it on top. Do you want to go straight into the mug, or do you want to?
Well, it's only been 2 minutes 30.
Well, 2 minutes was the steep time, and
I
after
see.
that, we're there.
All right.
A little 30 seconds before you drain it is good, and we've done that already.
Yeah.
So that's it.
So I'm going to put this on, and then the mug is going to press into the thing,
Yeah.
and then it's going to.
Just drain it out the bottom.
Oh, that's so much faster than when I used to do it.
So the first little bit of liquid always looks a bit pale. It will
Yeah.
turn to a normal coffee color in a minute,
Okay.
and then this will drain out.
Oh, this is going to be so good for the vlog. I remember back in the day in Cambridge in lockdown, the daily vlogs or the vlogs, I'd always kind of put the Chemex in and show the thing. And there's something about this that just looks really nice.
It is. It's coffee. Good coffee. It has a really nice color. It's very delicious. It's good times. All right, and that's it. And when you're done, throw away your paper. Give the brewer a quick rinse. There's not too much to clean, and you're done. That's it. Cleanup's finished. There's no stress or anything. Life is good.
Well played. Thank you.
Life is good.
Alrighty, so here we are. Thank
Coffee.
you. We have brewed our productive cup of coffee.
That was pretty productive.
It was pretty productive, yeah. I was hoping we could talk a little bit about the finances of this whole setup that we've got going on here.
Yeah.
How much is the stuff? Bearing in mind, I said no budget.
This could have been much worse. Like I could easily have put another 0 on this. That's the one. Oh yeah.
Okay.
So coffee can get very
Cheers.
silly.
Oh, nice.
So the biggest expense is what it should be, which is your coffee grinder, right? Like the coffee grinder has the biggest, outside the coffee itself, the biggest input in terms of the quality of coffee. Better the grinder, sweeter the cup, less bitterness, easier it is to make nice coffee. So that is a £300 coffee grinder.
300 quid.
300 quid.
I used to use a £15 coffee grinder.
Yes, and you can spend 3,000 on a coffee grinder if you want to.
Really?
Yes, I have one.
Wow.
Up there, but that's a different kind of, that's not like a flex, that's just like I have a sickness, and that's okay. But £300 is sort of serious coffee grinder, and I think you would want a burr grinder, so it's got cutting discs, you want it motorized ideally, and those start at about £100. But they get better, and this is at £300 you've got a definite jump in quality that I think is good value for money still at this point, right? And once you hit about £500, then you're really into diminishing returns, right? Like you can spend a couple £100 more and get a bit more control around espresso, but you're not making espresso, so that ruled that out. But above 500, you're into really diminishing returns.
Okay.
So for filter coffee, you're really a long way to really, really good.
By the way, quick thing, we've nearly hit 3 million subscribers on this YouTube channel, which is freaking insane. And so to commemorate that milestone, we're gonna be doing a massive giveaway, and all the details for that are gonna be on my Instagram page. So that'll be linked in the video description if you wanna follow me on Instagram. That will give you all the details closer to the time. Yeah, back to the video.
The next big expense was a bit of a funny one, which is the set of scales. Now those are really expensive because they're really well made, but they're smart scales. So there's an app supporting that kind of stuff. So that was a bit aggressive, but they're nice and white, and you know.
I do like white things. Actually, I'm going to grab them, and we can compare them against my 15-pound scales while we're here. So we have these scales, Salter something or other, probably like $9.99.
I used to have those.
And then we have this bad boy.
Right. So this is a company called Akaya. It's the Pearl, and they're £170.
£170.
That's too much money. But if you want the best there is, with the most functionality, most features from a sort of a good company building good products, this is that. There's good support for it. If you want to get into the smart stuff, it's really good. USB-C recharging, actually really matters to me in a weird
Yeah,
sort of way.
it's like really helpful because with this one you have to change them. Who's got access to like these tiny little coin batteries?
Oh, they're the worst.
Yeah,
They're the worst.
where do you even get them from? I mean, other than supermarkets, but like, where would you get them?
Outside, and no one needs to go outside.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're lovely. They're very beautiful, but they're a lot of money. So I don't think you need to spend this much money. But I wanted to future-proof you. You know what I mean? This is the last set you should ever need to buy.
Thank you. Appreciate
if you want to cook with them, great for that. Really accurate.
Yeah.
Like I would say they're good all-round scales. Perfect. But if you don't want to spend the money, then you could make great coffee with a set of cheap scales too. Like it's not an essential to spend a ton of money. This will just let you do stuff. If you want to learn more about pour overs, techniques, it's all kind of wrapped in the app if you want to do that.
Okay.
You don't have to. So Clever Dripper. This was about £23. Got about 20 quid. They last forever. They're simple. There's nothing really to change out on them. You know what I mean? Like, and I think they make great coffee, and they're really easy to use. Packet filters will set you back maybe £5. You know, lots of brews, 3 months worth, comfortably. You know what I mean? That's not a lot of money to spend, and you're pretty much at some good coffee. Now we did throw in a water filter. That's £25. You could buy a cheap one if you want to. If you're in a part of the world that doesn't have awful London water, which sort of sucks for coffee, then not an essential expense. But if you are in a hard water area like this, or just where there's a lot of stuff going on, makes a big difference. Yeah, we got you a little carafe. This is a nice glass carafe from the company that make the grinder. Actually,
It's quite aesthetic.
I think it's nice. I think it's a nice
cute.
looking thing.
Yeah.
So again, it's well made, so it's a bit more expensive at £25, but useful just generally. You know, it's good for tea, or coffee, whatever you're going to use. You don't have to use it all the time, but if you're going to use something like this, it's nice that they look nice. And there you have a pretty great coffee setup. I couldn't really improve it without spending a lot of money. You know what I mean? So that for me it was kind of the goal of like, you could brew the rest of your life with a setup like this and not really be missing out on the people who are brewing with really expensive stuff or just lost their minds. You're really going to be pretty close to fantastic.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much. This has been wonderful. I now have the Clever Dripper, which I'm going to be incorporating into my morning routine, along with all this stuff. Very kind of you to bring it all over. Well, thank you very much for coming on the channel. Everyone, check out James's channel. All the links down below. And you have a book coming out soon?
Soon-ish, yeah. Just how to make the best coffee at home.
Amazing.
August 18th.
August 18th. Cool. We'll put a link to the pre-order down below as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Right. Pleasure.
And so now I've had this fancy coffee apparatus in my house for the last 2 weeks. Every day I've made a sick cup of coffee every morning, and now I am sold on the virtues of freshly ground, freshly made coffee done properly. And it's kind of annoying now because like these random instant coffee machines and random Nescafe Zero and the coffee that I used to drink, genuinely, it now tastes absolutely grim, and I realized like, oh wow, I now know what I'm missing. So if you're interested in making coffee, would recommend checking out James's channel. That'll be linked over here. And if you want to check out the interview that he and I did on our podcast Deep Dive, that will be linked right over here, which is all about entrepreneurship and like toxic productivity and hustle culture and a bunch of really cool stuff. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you hopefully in the next video. Bye-bye.